Good evening, friends, and welcome to a late night edition of Crime Time with DutyRon and Ed Wallace. You guys know the drill. We're retired New York City police detectives and 9/11 World Trade Center first responders. Hey, folks, if you like all things true crime related from the police detective's perspective, you're in the right spot. Hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you get all things DutyRon and Ed Wallace when we go live or upload another video. Hey, tonight, I wanted to talk to you about Adam Montgomery. He is Harmony Montgomery's monstrous father, who is going to be sentenced tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern. The question for tonight's live stream is, will Adam Montgomery show up in court tomorrow at 1 p.m., or will he be continuing to be a coward and not show up for his sentencing? That's the question I pose to you guys tonight. I want to say a special thank you to you, the live chatters, the Patreon supporters, the folks who subscribe and buy us cups of coffee and Patreon, and all the live and replay chatters. You guys are what makes this a great place. And I want to thank the moderators and the replay viewers, because without you guys and the live audience, we have nothing here. So a special thank you and kudos to all of you here in the chat. And I saw my good friend Schmitty, one of the first in the chat, and BB2, Dawn Marie, Becky L, Black Rose 11. Hello, Kathy. Good to see you. Thank you, Becky and Jeff. And it looks like everyone's piling in. And this is going to be a quick one, but I want to talk about this because Adam Montgomery, found guilty of the murder of his daughter, Harmony Montgomery. He didn't show up one day in court, and we heard him when he was sentenced on those gun charges to up to 60 years. He asked the judge who saw and officiated this case, this murder case, he asked her, please be fair and don't judge me based on my firearms charges. I look forward to refuting the charges. I think he called them gross or outrageous charges levied against him. And what did he do? He didn't show up not one day. So I'm going to ask you guys here tonight in the live chat, what do you guys think? Is he going to show up? Put a 1 in the chat if you think yes. Put a 2 in the chat if you think no. And I'm going to go ahead and vote myself right now. I'm voting a number 2 at this time. I think he's going to be a coward and not show up. The judge ordered him to show up, but he already had his attorney write a letter to the court stating he didn't want to come. Yeah, he's a coward. Hi, Shirley Huff. Good to see you. A lot of people coming in late. I didn't schedule this. I just did it on my own. So a lot of number 2s. There's quite a bit of number 1s. Let's take a listen to some of the coverage on this case as we all put our votes in. Cast your votes, and I'm going to start a poll, and let's see how many people at the end of this poll. I know it won't be a big audience here tonight, but this case for little Harmony Montgomery, justice is going to be served tomorrow, and he can receive from 56 to a life sentence, 56 years to life in prison, on top of the 60 years that he's already serving. So this looks like this will be locking him up for the rest of his life, no matter what he gets tomorrow. So let's take a listen, and I'll be back in a second, guys.
New Year's Eve 2021, Manchester Police launches a missing persons investigation for a 7-year-old who was last seen 2 years prior. Her name, Harmony Montgomery. The department desperate for help to find her.
I'm imploring, I'm asking, even I'll go as far as I'm begging the community.
Within days, pictures of the little girl with blonde hair, blue eyes, and a bright smile were plastered on billboards and posters. Everyone holding out hope that Harmony would be found, including her mother, Crystal Sorey, who first sounded the alarm after she says the girl's father, Adam Montgomery, who had sole custody, cut all communication. She sat down with News 9 this week.
Very scary, helpless time in my life.
In August of 2022, the news no one wanted.
Harmony Montgomery was murdered in Manchester in early December of 2019.
You know, they sat me down and They told me that she was deceased.
2 months later, Harmony's own father was arrested for her murder. It would be another 2 years until Adam Montgomery got his day in court. The trial lasted weeks. Dozens of witnesses took the stand, including Adam's estranged wife, Kayla, who detailed how her husband killed his daughter.
He was just punching her repetitively in the head. He folded her in half and put her in the duffel bag.
For Crystal Sorey,
I got to stop it there. That's Kayla Montgomery. Now, Kayla Montgomery is set to be released May 3rd. I don't know if she was released yet, but I have notes here that it was written down that May 3rd, she was getting released. And I looked and I couldn't find any coverage on that. So I don't know if it was delayed. If anybody could let me know in the chat, if you guys know, but this monster right here that's sitting there with the crocodile tears in court trying to save her own ass. He worked out a plea deal to be the key witness for the prosecution against Adam Montgomery. He is by all means. I mean, if you know anything, let me know. But I have a note right here, May 3rd, that she's supposed to be released. And that's a travesty of justice right there. Let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know what you think on the replay viewers in the comment section. Kayla Montgomery being released, and she strolled to the Portland Pie Company with Harmony's remains in a stroller and handed that stroller over to Adam Montgomery, where he in turn took Harmony's remains and put them in a freezer. She worked out a plea deal with the prosecution to testify against her husband, Adam Montgomery. And she got a slap on her wrist. The parole board, I covered it. I covered it here. The parole board let her go. Sickening. It makes me want to puke when I see this. And here's our tiny little victim, Harmony Montgomery. Sad. Ed Wallace and I will cover the sentence live at 1 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. Ed Wallace is going to be joining me from Morocco, and we're going to cover the sentence, whether he shows up or not. And we're going to also cover the interviews afterwards and the victim impact statements. I anticipate that Crystal Sorey, Harmony Montgomery's biological mother, and others will be there delivering victim impact statements. And I'm hoping that Blair Miller and his husband, Jonathan, can deliver the victim impact statement for Jameson. That's Harmony Montgomery's half-brother, her brother, who's just 7 years old and doesn't really know fully what happened. Hopefully they'll be able to deliver that victim impact statement tomorrow.
her husband killed his daughter.
He was just punching her repetitively in the head. He folded her in half and put her in the duffel bag.
For Crystal Sorey,
for those of you who didn't understand what she just said there, he said that Adam Montgomery folded Harmony Montgomery in half and put her in a duffel bag. That's what she just said there. He folded her in half and put her in a duffel bag. And she witnessed that and didn't report it for years and years. 2 whole years, this child, this baby was unaccounted for. And this woman knew right here. It knew exactly what happened to her. And the only reason she spoke up is to save her own ass.
Repetitively in the head. He folded her in half and put her in the duffel bag.
For Crystal Sorey, the testimony was agonizing to hear.
It was really hard for me because most of my tears were out of anger. Because there is no excuse in this world
A jury convicted Adam Montgomery of second-degree murder and other charges.
Certainly, this is not the first murder of a child, but because of the way it got first brought to the public's attention, I think it did get a lot of publicity and a lot of attention that perhaps maybe a similar case would not receive.
Sentencing recommendations filed by the state are asking for Montgomery to serve a total of 56 years to life.
The state can make their recommendations, the defense can make their recommendations, but and they may agree on sentencing, but the judge ultimately has the decision.
Harmony's remains have never been found. News 9 Investigates has learned that Manchester police were recently back at a marsh in Revere, Massachusetts.
I want to stop it right here because this is important, folks. I've been holding back and telling you guys this, but this is really important because the search for Harmony Montgomery's remains was stated in the presser after Adam Montgomery was found guilty. Detective Jack Dunleavy, the lead investigator on Harmony's case, I was able to reach out to him, and he vowed to search until the rest of his career to search for Harmony's remains. And one of our viewers went to the Manchester Police Department and gave them my contact. And I got in contact with Jack Dunleavy. And EquiSearch Midwest, Twyla, and the Flyboys, the drone crew, are right now, as we speak, assisting. Or they're assisting the Manchester Police Department to try to find Harmony Montgomery's remains. So I want to thank Allie for going in to the police chief, to Police Chief Aldenberg, and giving him my contact information and setting up this whole thing, Unsolved Crimes Uncovered. She's always in the chat, and I haven't seen or heard from her recently, but she is always here and always present. And I want to thank her for extending that olive branch and sending me the email that she did. And that's why it's so important when you guys send emails that are very important like this, that we communicate with each other. And Dave Rader, Twyla Cisco, and the Flyboys are involved with, as we speak, searching for Harmony Montgomery's remains. So it's your hard-earned dollars when you support this community. This is where your hard-earned dollars are going, to searching for the missing. So kudos to Allie for getting over there and getting me in contact with Detective Jack Dunleavy. And we have an open line of communication back and forth. And they're not going to stop until they find Harmony's remains. So let's take a listen to the rest of this. Thank you, Susan, for the super chat. Appreciate it. Susan sends in $20 super chat. She says, Kayla Montgomery made a deal. Shame. But sometimes to put the devil on trial, you got to go to hell for the witness. Yeah, it's a difficult trade-off.
These remains have never been found. News 9 Investigates has learned that Manchester police were recently back at a marsh in Revere, Massachusetts, in the same area where a search happened last year. Investigators used a drone to search that area. The video will be analyzed, and it's expected that a larger scale search will take place in the coming months.
So there's news reporters know about this. And as they mentioned in this piece, that EquiSearch is using Locate, the advanced sophisticated software, to search the images that were uploaded by the Manchester Police Department. And they're working to locate and identify Harmony Montgomery's remains.
Investigators used a drone to search that area. The video will be analyzed, and it's expected that a larger scale search will take place in the coming months. Sori says she's okay if Adam receives a reduced sentence for information about what he did to Harmony's remains, although she's unsure if Montgomery would agree to it.
You know, that's the saddest part is I know how sick he is. I know that he'll never give up her location, but I know that I'll never give up.
So this is Harmony's mom, and she's kind of speaking fast. So I want to just clarify what she said. She said, I know Adam, and she's saying that I know he won't give up where Harmony's remains are. And Adam is a scumbag. There's no doubt about it. He's a walking piece of excrement. But this woman here knows him probably better than anybody. And here he is with his teardrop tattoo. This teardrop is indicative of someone who's killed somebody. Now, that doesn't mean that somebody could go and get a teardrop and have not killed somebody. But this guy is, as we know, he was arrested 20 times. And in those 20 times, he shot somebody in the face. I have a whole bunch of notes here, and they're all over the place. But Adam Montgomery has a extensive rap sheet. Shot someone in his face. His ex-girlfriend was found dead in a hotel room from an overdose. He's been involved in a lot of death and destruction. In the name of what? In the name of his drug addiction and in the name of money. He used Harmony Montgomery to fund his drug habit. He saw Harmony, his daughter, his own flesh and blood, as a meal ticket and also a ticket to fund his drug habit. So that's the sad part. And, you know, there's more to this story. There's so much more to this story because DCYF in the state of New Hampshire and in Massachusetts, they got a lot of explaining to do. And I hope and pray that people who let her slip through the cracks. How many of you here have been following this case and remember the testimony of the former DCYF worker who saw her? He had eyes on her and he didn't do anything. He's now a postal worker. He's now a letter carrier. How many of you seen that? Put a 1 in the chat if you've seen it. If you haven't seen it, put a 2 and I'll play that little piece for you. If you haven't seen that testimony. I saw her, but I didn't do anything. Insane.
Montgomery would agree to it.
You know, that's the saddest part is I know how sick he is. I know that he'll never give up her location, but I know that I'll never give up. So I'll find her.
The question now is, will Adam Montgomery appear for sentencing? He filed a motion asking the court to excuse him from the hearing.
Imagine that. He filed a motion in advance. Tammy, thank you for being here and welcome. And Glenda, I hope you recover quickly. Glenda sent in a message right here and said, hello, DutyRon, best mods and all. I've got broken ribs. Those are painful and they got to heal on their own. So I hope they heal quickly. But yeah, so imagine that. This scumbag, through his attorney, already filed for him. That's how cowardly he is. He's already filed to the court, and the judge ordered him that he has to show up. But if he says that he's sick, they can't force him to show up there. I wish that they could, and I think that they should, right? But he's a coward. He's a coward.
Will Adam Montgomery appear for sentencing? He filed a motion asking the court to excuse him from the hearing, but a judge denied that motion and ordered him to show up in court. It's unclear if he'll comply with those orders. Tim Callery, WMUR News.
Insane. And I say this to you guys, no matter what, whether he shows up or not, Ed Wallace and I are going to cover it. We're going to be on it live. And, you know, I'm interested in seeing and hearing the victim impact statements. I want to hear what some of the close family has to say and who's going to give these impact statements. And I talked to you guys about the adoptive parents, Blair Miller and his partner. They were denied their voice. They said they can only read a statement that comes from their 7-year-old son. It's insanity. It's insanity. Here's the piece about the DCYF worker. I have to play this because it makes my blood boil, and I think we all need to know about this. Tina Gaines, good to see you. Josh and Kerry, thank you for being here. Hey, DutyRon, love you and glad to catch you live again. Justice for Harmony. Amen for the Justice for Harmony. Let's take a listen to this. This is going to make your blood boil once again.
Called into question New Hampshire's report on how its child welfare agency handled Harmony's case.
Specifically, whether she was actually assessed when the social worker first visited the family's Manchester home. Anchor and investigative reporter Carrie Cavanaugh with us now. And Carrie, this is yet another example of this child's well-being falling through the cracks.
It really is. New Hampshire state officials released this report in February 2022. It says the social worker assessed Harmony Montgomery the very first day he went to their home for a report of physical abuse. We now know from the now former social worker's testimony, he barely saw little Harmony that day.
I noticed a person who I recognized as Adam Montgomery getting into a car.
Was anyone else present with him as he was getting into that vehicle?
There was a young girl.
In testimony during Adam Montgomery's murder trial, former New Hampshire Child Protective Services worker Demetrius Saros takes us back to July 29th, 2019. The New Hampshire
And this guy really worked up he made my blood boil because he failed to do his job. And no matter how you cut it, he failed to follow up. He failed to protect Harmony Montgomery right here. He failed her. And not only did he fail her, the police failed her. The judge in Massachusetts failed her. So many failed her. Jen, no, good to see you. I see you changed your screen name. I noticed that a little while ago. Great to see you, Jennifer Nobles, my good friend and moderator here. Thank you for being here.
Hampshire Department of Children, Youth, and Families received a report that 5-year-old Harmony Montgomery suffered a black eye at the hands of her father, Adam. The former social worker went to the family's Manchester home.
How long were you able to observe her for?
Maybe 10 seconds, 15 seconds, not a long period of time.
And this was from 30 to 40 feet away?
Correct.
Those details missing from New Hampshire's own report on what happened that day. It says an assessment was conducted as Adam Montgomery and Harmony were entering their vehicle. And that very day, the social worker emailed Manchester police saying Harmony had no injury consistent with a black eye.
It was a huge missed opportunity to keep Harmony safe, and probably one of the last opportunities to keep her safe.
One of the last opportunities to save her life. Forget about keep her safe. That was a missed opportunity. It cost her her life. Somebody has to pay the price for this, and some change has to be made. Some changes have to be made. How many of our children are going to die with this incompetence that's going on? I don't care what the problem is, whether it's a staffing problem, whether it's a budgetary problem. We're spending billions of dollars on other things outside of our country and inside of our own country. Billions of dollars on different things. Why not take hundreds of thousands or millions, hundreds of millions of dollars or whatever it takes and bolster the staff? Do better.
Social worker emailed Manchester police saying Harmony had no injury consistent with a black eye.
It was a huge missed opportunity to keep Harmony safe, and probably one of the last opportunities to keep her safe.
Carol Erskine's a retired Massachusetts juvenile justice. She's followed Harmony's case closely.
I think New Hampshire needs to reopen that investigation in light of that testimony.
August 7th, 2019, 10 days later, the social worker conducted a second, more detailed assessment.
I did notice a small red mark under one of her eyes and some redness with discoloration.
That was explained away as an injury.
Right, but listen, what's being failed to state, what's failed to be stated here in this is that Adam Montgomery's uncle He's the one who reported the black eye. His uncle Kevin Montgomery, who testified in this trial, is the one who made the reports that Adam told him, I bashed her around the fucking house. Adam's words to Kevin Montgomery. Those of you here in the chat, do you remember Kevin Montgomery? He made the report, and he told him that he saw her with a black eye, Uncle Kevin. So this guy right here had that report. This guy with the floppy ears, he had that report from Kevin Montgomery, Adam Montgomery's uncle. And he didn't jump out of his car and say, hey, Adam, I want to talk to you. I want to see your daughter. He had a chance. He saw her. Get out of the car. Dial 911. Follow that car. Dial 911. Follow the car. He could have did so many different things. If you see something, say something. This is his job. His job was to protect children. He cried on the stand, Jimmy McNutty. Absolutely. I saw him cry on the stand for not doing more. He's got to live with that for the rest of his life. Princess Mitch, good to see you. Sharon, I hope you feel better. Thank you for being here. Thank you for always hanging in, and I hope you get well soon. So much love to you. This guy failed Harmony Montgomery. Deco Paint and Tea, it's horrible. It's horrific. Taz Ellie, Justice for Harmony. We're going to see that tomorrow. Justice for Harmony tomorrow.
I did notice a small red mark under one of her eyes and some redness with discoloration.
That was explained away as an injury that happened during playtime. 25 Investigates asked New Hampshire officials if they stand by their 2022 report after the former social worker's testimony. A spokesperson told us we are required by state and federal laws to protect the confidentiality of individuals involved with the child protection system. New Hampshire's DHHS says it had.
And this is just a bunch of blah, 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 bullshit. Linda, I have allergies, seasonal allergies, and it's kind of late. I'm usually in bed at this time. So it is kind of late. My shoulder's kind of bothering me. I did a little physical therapy, but yeah, you're detecting right. I got allergies, I'm tired, and I'm in pain, a little bit in pain. Yeah, so crazy stuff with this case, and so many more children. Someone mentioned the trial of the father that put his son on the treadmill because he thought he was fat, and he wound up killing him, and he's on trial. Yeah, there's so many of these. There are so many of them, but they got to do better. They got to acknowledge that there is a problem, and the problem is big. So another part of this thing tomorrow is, okay, so is Adam Montgomery going to show up? That's the big thing, right? The second thing is the travesty of justice of Harmony's brother. It's her stepbrother, half brother. His parents want to make a victim impact statement. And under New Hampshire law, it has to come from their son. So because the son is only 7, they could read a statement from the son, but they say that the son doesn't really understand everything that happened. And he shouldn't. They shouldn't have to tell him that. So listen to this report. And again, I hope and pray that Blair and his significant other, his husband, Jonathan, can deliver a victim impact statement and give their own adult words for Jameson. So let's hear what they have to say.
Tomorrow, Adam Montgomery will be sentenced for the killing of his daughter, Harmony.
Now, we are expecting victim impact statements, but as WBZ's Beth Romano tells us, not everyone affected by Harmony's death will be allowed to speak.
His voice was silenced for so long. Harmony's voice was silenced. The adoptive father of Harmony Montgomery's 7-year-old brother Jameson, speaking out the day before Adam Montgomery is sentenced for the little girl's murder. Outraged, a judge is limiting victim impact statements from him and his husband Blair Miller about the boy's trauma.
They're saying that we cannot speak on Jameson's behalf. It has to be his exact words related to the murder.
And the murder.
Could you imagine that? Under the law, they cannot write an adult statement out for their son. They have to rely on what their son is going to tell them. And they can only read that. And that's all they can do. It's state law, Beach Bum. It's a state law. If you go to Blair Miller's Twitter account, and if you look at my Twitter or X, I retweeted that law, and I retweeted Blair Miller's tweet that he put out. It's just despicable. So that has to change too. The state of New Hampshire and Massachusetts is upside down, in my eyes. I mean, it's upside down. ATS News, good to see you. Thank you for joining. They can't use. Can they use a recorder? They can't. It has to be written statement that they could read, and then they can't add adult words to it or their own. You're relying on a 7-year-old. It's just not even fair. Borders Girl, thank you for being a member for 3 months. Finally, justice for Precious Harmony. Prayers. Yeah, the purple hearts in the chat are always appreciated. Harmony Renee, I know her mom, her biological mother, said that she doesn't even want to acknowledge the name Harmony. She wants to acknowledge Renee going forward. So the hearing is at 1 p.m. Eastern. Don't worry. I have you guys linked here to the hearing. I'm going to cover it. I'm going to start at 12:50 with Ed Wallace. So when this is over, it's going to link you to the live stream, and then you could just set the notification to notify you. Ed and I are going to cover it. The sentence, he should receive the maximum. It's 56 years to life. And I'm hoping that this judge throws the book at him, especially because he disrespected not only her, but the court system and right here, Harmony. He disrespected the system, the judge, and more importantly, Harmony. So justice is going to prevail tomorrow. Angela, thank you for setting that notification set for tomorrow. All right, let's listen to the rest of this.
Words on his behalf. It has to be his exact words related to the murder.
And the murder and its brutality is something Jonathan Miller says Jameson has yet to comprehend. His understanding of why she's gone is much different.
Is she in heaven? Is she safe? What happened to her glasses?
But according to the New Hampshire attorney,
isn't that sad? That's what this little boy is saying to his fathers. What happened to her glasses? Is she safe? Is she in heaven? 6-year-old doesn't know. It's so sad. Yeah, Joey Brooklyn, justice for Harmony. Tomorrow, it's a coming. Justice is coming tomorrow. But you know, when I heard this and I read this on Twitter, it really made me sad. It brought tears to my eyes when I thought about this little boy, Jameson. When you see these pictures of them together here, this picture of them too, it just looks so innocent and so sweet. And you would never imagine that this girl would be killed by her own flesh and blood. And as Kayla said, squished, crushed, compressed into a Catholic health bag, and then placed in a cooler at Kayla's mother's house, and then put in the ceiling at a homeless shelter, and then taken to the Portland Pie Company and placed in a freezer where food that's being served to the people of that establishment. That's how many places her remains went. Out in the snow initially, behind a snowbank. I mean, I hate to mention all this, but this is the truth. This is what Kayla testified to, and she was never going to give that up. She was never going to give that up until she realized that her life was on the line, not Harmony's. She didn't give a fuck about this little girl. But she cared about herself. And those are some of the most evil, demonic people. And she's now walking free. That's not justice. Kayla Montgomery should not be around anybody. She's a danger to society. And the parole board, shame on you. We're going to write, I'm going to find out where we could write letters to that parole board, and they need to be shamed. And they won't even probably look at the letters. They'll throw them out, I bet. But we should write thousands and tens of thousands of letters to that parole board. I covered that too. Not many people watched it, just like not many people are watching here tonight. I covered that part of Kayla Montgomery being released by the parole board. I was disgusted by it. It was despicable. So I'm going to find out where we can write those letters and write them letters of shame. Shame on you for letting Kayla Montgomery out, who witnessed her being crushed and all of the things I just described. Sickening. It's sickening. And if you're not sickened by this, then you're not human, because this is really, really bad. Really bad. This is one of the worst. One of the worst. Not the worst that I've covered or talked about, but one of the worst. God help us.
Gone is much different.
Is she in heaven? Is she safe? What happened to her glasses?
But according to the New Hampshire Attorney General, the court allows victims to designate a representative to write or speak on a victim's behalf, but it must be a reflection of the victim's words or other expressions of their feelings, meaning Jamison's dads can't speak on his behalf.
The fact that New Hampshire court wants Jamison to speak or write a statement about his sister's brutal murder only continues to victimize and traumatize him.
Re-victimizing.
Retired Massachusetts Judge Carol Erskine believes it's a ruling without precedent.
This is, a narrative where it seems like the person who murdered Harmony has more rights in terms of what's being said at a victim impact statement than the actual victims.
So this lady said it well. Adam Montgomery is being protected, and the people who should be able to talk for the little ones, his parents, are not able to talk. 1 p.m. Eastern, again, we're going to be all sent over to a live stream that I have scheduled. Ed Wallace and I are going to be covering it. We're going to go live at 12:50 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we will cover the sentencing live tomorrow, right here on Crime Time with DutyRon and Ed Wallace. So no worries. If you want to see it, live, we have a scheduled live stream.
According to Jonathan, without precedent.
This is, a narrative where it seems like the person who murdered Harmony has more rights in terms of what's being said at a victim impact statement than the actual victims.
I don't know if Kevin's going to be able to talk, but I would imagine that he's going to perhaps give an impact statement. But you know what, Coffee Cakes, remember, Kevin Montgomery, the uncle, who showed so much remorse and so much sorrow, when he was asked by the attorney, the district attorney, if he wanted to be there, he said no. He had to be subpoenaed to come there. He didn't voluntarily come into that courtroom. Those of you who were watching this trial and covering and watching it closely, Uncle Kevin did not want to come there and testify against his nephew. So he may not give a victim impact statement. I don't know. There's no list of who's going to give it. But I want to say this. The judge has discretion. The judge can let Jameson's parents come and speak for him. The judge can let this man here, who is Jonathan Jameson's father, adopted. Both him and his husband adopted Jameson. So the judge can allow him to speak tomorrow. That remains to be seen. So we don't know. So hopefully she does make that decision to let him speak. Let both of them speak. So we shall see. We shall see. And Jonathan's he has a dual last name, because I looked on Twitter and I actually heard it on news, on a local news coverage. Jonathan Bobbitt Miller and Blair Miller. Blair is a reporter out of the Washington, D.C. area. Good to see you, Joey Brooklyn, Richella Pranzo. And I know with Richella here, that means Lieutenant Pete is looming somewhere.
Retired Massachusetts Judge Carol Erskine believes it's a ruling without precedent.
This is, a narrative where it seems like the person who murdered Harmony has more rights in terms of what's being said at a victim impact statement than the actual victims.
According to Jonathan Miller, the judge will rule only before Thursday's sentencing whether he and his husband will be allowed to give victim impact statements and the impact on Jameson. And he knows what he wants to convey.
It's important that Adam, that monster, hears what he's done to Jameson and the void that he has left in Jameson's heart.
Mommy, it's me, your brother. I hope I see you soon.
As Montgomery listens to the pain, he's caught.
Oh my God. I missed that whole thing. That's him on his father's phone saying, Harmony, I miss you. Oh my God.
The void that he has left in Jameson's heart.
Mommy, it's me, your brother.
Oh.
I hope I see you soon.
As Montgomery listens to the pain he's caused to so many. Beth Germano, WBZ News.
Holy shit. Wow. That really gets you right there, boy. So some people in the chat in all capital letters said the judge ordered him to be there. But that doesn't mean he'll show up, because come tomorrow morning, he could say, I'm sick. I don't feel well, and I'm not going. They're not going to drag him and beat him and carry him into court. So, it is what it is. And Julia Ann, again, we know this. We know this. I've been saying this for years. I've been talking about this for years on my channel, going back to early 2020 when Michael Valva killed his son, Thomas, froze him to death in a garage out east in Suffolk County. I'll never forget that case. That was one of the top 10 worst cases that I've ever covered. So trust me when I say this, it's a 50-50 chance that Adam Montgomery is in that courtroom tomorrow. I'm hoping and praying that he is. And Debbie says they should. I agree with you. I agree that they should. But if he says he's got a tummy ache and he's not ready to go, or just doesn't want to go, what's going to happen to him? The judge ordered him to be there, but he's in jail for the rest of his life. They can't do anything more, give him any more sentence. What are they going to do? You're in contempt of court? No. He knows this. He's a jailhouse justice junkie. He knows all of his rights. And that's the unfortunate part, is that these prisoners know what their rights are, and they can take advantage of the system. In certain jurisdictions, we see perpetrators being dragged into court. We see perpetrators being brought in by wheelchair. We see perpetrators come in with full masks on because they're spitting at everybody. You know, Delana, I'm with you. DutyRon, they should drag him in there in the same manner that he drugged beautiful, innocent Harmony around. He dragged her around. Sorry, not sorry. This case broke my heart. Yeah, hashtag DutyRon on any of your questions as it pertains to this case. Again, tomorrow morning, 12:50, well, afternoon, tomorrow afternoon, 12:50, we will be live. Ed Wallace is going to be joining us from Morocco. So come and hang out with us tomorrow. Here's a little coverage about the judge ordering Adam Montgomery to come in, and I'll wrap it up after this. So just by a show of hands, I mean, how many of you think he's going to be there? Do you guys think he's going to be in court tomorrow? Yes or no? I'll make it simple instead of these numbers. I do the numbers because it's easier to press one key. So that's truly why I ask for the numbers. But yes or no? I see a lot of no's. Schmitty says no. Julie says no. Mel says no. Shoot, I didn't see any yeses yet. Oh, Diana Curry says yes. ABS says yes. The yeses outweighed the no's. I mean, the no's outweighed the yeses. Wow. Not too much of a coward, says Jennifer. We'll see. We'll see tomorrow. We'll see. We'll be covering it tomorrow. So I hope you guys will all be there and join us.
Ariel, Adam Montgomery was convicted of murder and other charges by a jury in February. He waived his right to appear in court the day after his jury selection began, but we now know he'll have to be there the day he's sentenced to prison for his crimes. Jurors spending more than 2 weeks listening to emotional and graphic testimony in Adam Montgomery's murder trial of his 5-year-old daughter, Harmony. He was convicted of second-degree murder, second-degree assault, falsifying physical evidence, abuse of a corpse, and witness tampering. He was only present for jury selection, his absence noticeable from opening statements to the reading of his guilty verdict. In a motion filed by his attorney, Montgomery said he maintains his innocence in the murder, assault, and witness tampering charges, asking the court to excuse him from showing up to his sentencing. In response, the state noted another murder case where a law was passed requiring the killer to appear in court when the victim's family addressed the judge. Even though a judge is allowed to overrule that, the judge in this case finds that doesn't apply to Montgomery, saying he hasn't raised a, quote, adequate factual legal basis to be excused, saying, quote, the only factual basis the defendant asserts is his contention that he is innocent as to some of the charges. However, the defendant has been found guilty beyond a reasonable doubt by a jury as to those charges. He asserts no other factual basis for excusal. And Adam Montgomery will be sentenced on May 9th in Manchester. At this point, we know members of Harmony's family and others are expected to speak.
Okay, so if you look at that report and you listen to that report, you're like, yeah, he has to show up. But guess what? If he says that he's injured or ill, they can't make him come. I see it so many times in so many different cases and stuff that's not televised and that's not on the, on the radar, where perpetrators say, screw that. I'm not going to court. I don't need to be there. You're just going to sentence to me for the rest of my life. I don't need to be there. So, I don't believe he's in protective custody, Jessica, but we don't have a lot of information. We don't have a lot of information available to us at this point. But here's what I was talking about, Kayla being released. This is a long video, but here inside the contents of this, it says Kayla will leave prison on May 3rd. So potentially she's a free woman right now as we speak. And I searched so hard to find out if she was still locked up or not. So we'll see. We'll see tomorrow. Ed and I are going to be covering this live. And I want to go to the live where you could see. I'll show you how to do this, but you guys are going to be here in the chat, and it's going to redirect you straight over to this live stream right here. So let me get it up on the screen so you could see it. We'll see if anybody's in there chatting right now. Oh, wow. A lot of people in there. Oh, wait. This is me. Silly DutyRon. I clicked on this stream. All right, here it is. That's pretty funny. I clicked on it. I was like, wait a minute. How come I'm there? All right, so here it is. Watch live with us tomorrow. Special coverage. Anna Montgomery sentencing. It's going to be live in 14 hours. All you have to do is hit the notify me. And then here, there's people in the chat. Beamer 650 says I'll be there. So this is it right there. Don't cross the streams, DutyRon. I've been known to do that. So Miss Pye, and this is not confirmed information, she said, what I understand, Kayla was released in secret in an undeclared location. She doesn't deserve to be protected or in a protected area. She's not in a witness protection program. So Lou G says, don't cross the streams, DutyRon. Yes. All right, let me read some of these questions. L Rose, thank you for being here. I love the cute picture of your dog. Can we find out if Kayla is allowed around children? She shouldn't be, because I hope she is never allowed near kids or anyone else. I have a live stream that we covered the parole hearing. It was disgusting to hear these parole board members listen to her talk, and the statements that she gave were so dry and so not believable. She didn't even seem like she cared. Did anybody watch that parole hearing? It was broadcast live. So it's crazy, I don't know. If she was standing before me, I would be like, no way. It would be a big,
oh, hell no.
You're not getting out. No, you need to stay and sit and simmer. You need to sit and marinate for a while. So it is what it is. Amanda says she's gross. Beach Bum watched it. She does have other kids. She shouldn't be around kids ever. And here's another statement that's perhaps true by Kimberly. She says, how long before Kayla is back on the streets as a drug addict? I'm not a gambler, but I'd bet everything I own. It's a pretty good bet right there. Not that I'm wishing it, because I don't wish that on anybody. But she's a special kind of evil. So look, Kitty KU is in this in the stream. She just put those purple hearts in. And Berlinda Mustafa, she said, I'll be here too. So thank you. You hit this little notification bell. You make sure that you're subscribed. We're getting close to 300,000 subscribers, and I thank you all for that. And click the little thumbs up button. That helps too. We have 12 people who decided to click the thumbs up. So thank you to the 12 who did that. I got to go I got to take my garbage out to the curb. I'm going to drag it with one hand, and I got to get ready for bed. So thank you all for being here. Justice tomorrow is coming for Harmony Montgomery. We're going to see Adam Montgomery get sentenced. We'll watch it live, and we'll also watch the live coverage afterwards to see if the district attorney makes any statements, or if the chief of the police, Alan Oldenburg, if he makes a statement. Maybe there'll be a statement from Blair Miller, Harmony's mom. We saw a statement from her last time. Thank you, Heather, whatever, for being here. Pete, my shoulder's killing me. I went to PT today. I iced it before I came live with you guys, but I'm in a lot of pain. But I'm going to go to bed in a few minutes. So thank you for all being here. I really, really appreciate and respect all of you, no matter what the audience is, big, small. I don't care if there's 20 people here. as long as we all can get on that same page where we're supporting the victims and their families, because that's what it's about here on Crime Time with DutyRon. A lot of the revenue that comes into this channel, I funnel it out to great groups like EquiSearch Midwest and the various others that are out there searching for the missing, because I think that's really important. I think it's important to pay it forward. I'm not here on YouTube to line my pockets. I'm here to help educate with Ed, you, the audience, and help the victims and their families. Coincidentally, Charlotte Senna, the young girl who was abducted upstate New York, it was a happy ending, right, with Charlotte Senna? That doesn't happen often. And her aunt and her mother reached out to me, and they want to come on to talk about Charlotte and some legislation that they're working on in the state of New York. So look for a live stream with Charlotte Senna's mom and her aunt very soon, because that's all happening in the works behind the scenes. So I'll talk to you all soon. Listen, again, we say this all the time. If you see something, say something. Please, folks, make sure you keep your eyes open, keep your head on a swivel, stay safe out there. If you hear something happening around you or within your family, something doesn't seem right, even though you sometimes don't want to bud your business into someone's parenting skills, there's ways that you can make phone calls and do things if things don't seem right. So keep your head on a swivel. Always, always see something, say something. And I want to just send strength, prayers, and positive vibes to Harmony Montgomery's extended family, the prosecutor, the police department who's continuing to look for her, and everyone, EquiSearch Midwest, and all of you guys. So stay safe, and we'll see you tomorrow, 12:50 Eastern Time. Good night, and stand by for a message from the cop team.